All right, everyone, it's the weekend edition of Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the Daily Fail, meme review, software releases, and today, don't have a software release, it's the websites by Plebs. Drop us a like and subscribe. All right, we're going to the numbers. Okay, we are currently at a block height of 675,526, the current Bitcoin price, 58,780. Chain rewrite days, 614 total. Lightning capacity, 1,149.88. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, still a healthy 9.67%. Sats per dollar, dropping slowly, 1,702 sats per dollar. Did not break the all-time high, though, as we all know. Not yet. Soon.tm.
Soon. And
Very soon.
You're right, Phil. We did not break an all-time high, which is why Satoshi, the Bitcoin rubber chicken, for anyone who's new, did not cluck. He clucks only when the price of Bitcoin reaches an all-time high, which wasn't today, but hopefully very soon. It's only been like 6 days since the last time.
Feels like forever.
Time. Right? In Bitcoin time, that's like, that's a whole millennia, right? But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail. All right, so I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be really familiar with this because this had a lot of noise on Twitter yesterday. It's interesting how people show their true colors. All right, so our buddy, right, our fellow Bitcoiner, Surfer Jim, who was on this week as our guest, okay. Bitcoin 2021 now has Novogratz as a speaker, so that's now 2 shitcoiners as keynote speakers with at Shamat at what is supposed to be a Bitcoin conference. So now I'm going to Shitcoin 2021, it looks like. Horrible choice, guys. You're not doing your reputation any favors here. And then Shamat pipes in, drops this little bomb. Goes, "You're a joke. Both Novo and I owned Bitcoin when you were still living in mommy's basement. When it comes to Bitcoin, it's really about OGs and wannabes." And then I'm sorry, I got to keep going on this one because it's really bad, right? So then, Surfer Jim responds and goes, "Been out of mom's basement decades before you were born, dipshit coiner." And then Shamat responds back, "Even worse, old and broke." So when you see this kind of like total cringe behavior from these people that let's face it, Shamat's been on like mainstream media and stuff, and these people act all high and mighty. But when you get under their skin, man, some of these people are just really shallow and really cringy. And at the end of the day, this guy's just a fiat Bitcoiner. At the end of the day, he's talking about OGs and wannabes. I really believe that he's the wannabe. and I think he's afraid that other people know that, So I found it to be like, of all the responses, like, hey, look, you could have told Jim to go fuck himself or whatever. But instead you go and you pull that type of card, right? Where all of a sudden you're like credentializing, and then all of a sudden you flex your money. Those were your 2 go-to moves. That's freaking weak. Anyways, so Shamat's a major fail.
Major fail. I think that was one of the biggest fails that we've ever covered here on Simply Bitcoin, Phil. This billionaire picking on, the little guy, the pleb. But, it just goes to show the power of Bitcoin. This pleb stands up, and the power of the internet as well. This pleb stands up to this billionaire, exactly what you said, gets under his skin. And man, whatever his name, I can't pronounce his name, Shamat, got ratioed, like this Surfer Jim, just this small, this small guy, this pleb, like the rest of us, like you and I, Phil, right?
Yep.
Just stood up to this huge guy, right? This Goliath. And, that's what Bitcoin allows you to do. And they're going to put, unfortunately, Bitcoin 2021, dude, that his tweet, Surfer Jim's tweet, got a lot of attention. That was 1,000 likes, right? That's a lot of engagement, right? So, and most of the community on Twitter, right? Everyone's just standing up behind him too. So, man, it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. But yeah, Shaman, man, it just goes to show in Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin kills heroes so quickly, right?
But that's it, right? He's not a hero. He's an Oompa
he never
Loompa.
was. He never was, right? But maybe some people thought he was.
Dude, you know what? I've been making fun of this. I really think like he's an Oompa Loompa. That's exactly it. Every time I see him, that's what he reminds me of. And it's time to go back to freaking Willy Wonka's factory. That's it. He's done. Go back to play with all the stupid idiots that you're used to. You're not, you're the wannabe in Bitcoin. I don't give a shit when you bought it. If you're gonna sit there and flex, dude, if you're gonna sit there and freaking flex money on a plebe when he's calling you out as a shitcoiner, really? Like that, it just goes to show just how crazy insecure you are. You haven't managed to build up anything inside, right?
Dude, it's a billionaire, like picking on some random Twitter account. You know what I'm saying? Like some random Twitter account that's going to this Bitcoin event of which you're going to, and you're just like picking out, like, bro, like what the fuck? Like,
fail.
What the F, man? Total. Yeah, exactly. Fail.
All right.
Great fail. Anyways, Phil.
We're done. Sorry.
Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by a plebe. Bitcoin is a plebe. Bitcoin is us. Choose your leader. Vitalik Buterin, Charles Hawkinson, nobody. Bitcoin, nobody. That's right, because Bitcoin has no leader. We're legion. It's everyone. It's everyone and no one at the same time, right? Can't cut off the head. So incredible meme. So I'm gonna give that a Himalayan salt lamp. What about you, Phil?
Damn. Himalayan salt lamp. Not even gonna try to top that. Okay, but before I give my rating, okay, I want to give a shout out to Self-Banked, okay, because he put out this great meme that said rules, not rulers. And that goes totally in line with the meme that we are rating. And that is exactly it. Rules, not rulers. Love the meme. Completely, totally self-explanatory. I gotta take a look in like my ratings cabinet. I don't, you know what? This is going to be completely unheard of. Definitely not salt lamp, but I'm going to do my best. It's a glue stick.
Oh, snap!
Dropped it right there. Glue stick.
Snap!
Nobody stops that.
Dude. Wow. Yeah, you're right. 2 incredible scores. I think those are the best scores. Maybe.
They are.
I don't know. Who knows? We don't know. Anyways, Phil, it's
Somebody
time.
knows. Somebody knows.
Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. The news for today. First of all, yesterday, while we were doing the news, I told you that there was predominant figures that also believed in the stuff that we've been telling you, essentially that there's this narrative that the elites want you to believe, right? That the matrix is breaking. Well, we told you guys, it sounded a little bit conspiratorial, but listen, we're not the only ones to believe this. This is the governor of Florida says Ron DeSantis on the pandemic year, don't trust the elites. This is exactly what we were talking about. The elites, the establishments, the institutions, right? They want you to believe this narrative, right? To quote the article, to begin with, highly publicized, help me out here, Phil, with this word.
epidemiological.
Thank you. Models were as consequential as they were wrong. The model produced by Neil Ferguson of Imperial College London, which forecasted millions of COVID deaths in the United States without migration effects, sparked panic among public health elites and served as the pretext for lockdowns throughout the US and Great Britain. The lockdowns failed to stop the virus, but did a great deal of societal damage along the way, damage that a more targeted approach seeking to reduce harm would have been able to avoid, and did in places like Sweden and Florida, right? And he's absolutely right. And it goes on to say, lockdowns proved a huge boon to America's corporate media, which primed its captives with its captive audience with fear and partisanship. Everything the corporate press did regarding COVID coverage was inseparable from its year-long obsessions with attacking. It gets onto political banner, but for months we were told to trust the experts, but far too often over the past year, those were most influential in our society in public health, government, and media proved incapable of rising to the moment. Right? So, man, this is exactly what Phil and I have been telling you guys, right? How they're just bobbling their heads, kind of like, we have no idea what we're doing, just figuring it out as they go. The experts and a lot, not all the government, but a big portion of the government failed completely, right? And man, it just goes to show that the narrative, right? This narrative that they paint, right? That they're so obsessed with trying to just dispel, right? Say it's incorrect, it's lies, right? I'm just glad that at least there is some mainstream media outlets that are allowing, dissent, right? And perhaps it's only because it's the governor of Florida that they're allowing this type of dissent. But it's a fresh of breath air. Especially since, Florida, especially Miami, has been extremely helpful to Bitcoin, and it's been very opening. And I think it is the first major city, Phil, in the world that the mayor is thinking of taking some Bitcoin and putting it into reserves, right? So, man, it's just very, very bright future for Florida. Very bright orange future. Maybe it's because Florida has orange and Bitcoin is orange. I don't know. That's stupid. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, hold on a second. Isn't like the fruit of Florida, isn't it an orange?
It is an orange, yeah.
Right? So kind of already the colors are there. We've already got that going on. But I mean, look, if we could go back and just take a look at that article for a second.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to go take a look. There was one piece there. Yeah. Okay, so look, right? The lockdowns proved a huge boon to America's corporate media, okay, which primed its captive audience with fear and partisanship. So look, this whole entire time, right? We don't have to, you could turn off the screen if you want and just go back to us. But like, this whole, I just wanted to remember that line about that, the whole entire time, right? That so many people were being forced to stay home and stuff. We were bombarded with very confusing information constantly from sources that we are supposed to be able to trust, but we cannot. Okay. And this was done seemingly all over the world. Right? Anywhere where whatever group it is of people that decided to package this information in the way that they did and, hand it around the world, like it seemed like the entire world all of a sudden had a unison of information, and it was all the same bad info. And everybody just took it and ran with it in different directions and did all kinds of weird shit. And at the end of the day, so many of us are just completely confused and tired. Like that's not the kind of system you want you want to raise your kids in. That's not the kind of system you want to live in. And this all ties back to Bitcoin, right? Because our bad money has enabled so much of these incentives and so much of this bad behavior. This is what people don't realize. Like, when you want to fund something terrible, you can, if you are the person that is closest or possibly the money printer themselves, you can print the money to fund these horrible things.
With no consequences.
With no consequences. And your taxpayers are going to simply just fucking deal with it.
Or get put in jail. Get put in jail, right? You don't pay the tax, man.
So
get put in jail. So, man.
We're confused and we're tired. Like that's it, you know?
And you're right, Phil. And you know, you're right, Phil. And another reason that I wanted to share this article today is we've been saying a lot. You know, we've been kind of telling you guys how the media is creating a narrative, right? How the elites want things for you, right? And it sounds very conspiratorial, right? And it sounds very outlandish, right? Especially because there is no official outlets kind of backing up what we're saying, right? But now you have the governor of Florida, right? Kind of feeling or kind of saying exactly what we've been telling you guys, right? Is that there is an elite group of people that want you to believe a narrative. And I'll leave you guys with this quote from the article. Florida cut against the grain of elite opinion and bucked the media narrative, right? Of course, he's touting his own horn because he's the governor of Florida, right? But there you go. The media narrative, right? The elite media, elite opinion, right? There's an elite group of people and they want control, man. And it's freaking crazy, and Bitcoin protects us from them. But anyways, the next piece of news, Phil, check this out. This is kind of more of a continuation of what we've seen, right? Essentially the Financial Action Task Force, right? Who are they? They are also, they're a French group, an intergovernmental organization founded in 1989 on the initiative of the G7 to develop policies to combat money laundering. So it's a multinational organization by these Western countries, by the United States, Canada, Spain, you know, France, UK, etc., etc. So Western countries, and it looks like they're a task force, right? They're a multinational task force to combat money laundering. Well, they released a I guess a guidance, right? An updated guidance on how exchanges, or how to use their own words, virtual asset service providers should handle Bitcoin. And I'm just gonna kind of read exactly some of these updates, right? Because they are important. Countries should also seek to understand the money laundering / terrorist finance risks related to peer-to-peer transactions and how peer-to-peer transactions are being used in their jurisdiction. Countries may consider the following non-exhaustive list of options to mitigate risks posed by peer-to-peer transactions at a national level if the money laundering / terrorist finance risks are unacceptably high. This includes measures that seek to bring greater visibility to peer-to-peer transactions, as well as to limit jurisdictions' exposure to peer-to-peer transactions. These measures may include, and there's the continuation of the list. If you guys want to read the whole list, we will put it down in the link description, but I kind of want to cover some themes that you see in the language of that updated guidance that we've been seeing, right? In other parts of the globe, specifically the United States, right? This is, again, the gatekeepers of the world, the Western worlds, which control the world. They control they do control the world because they control the global reserve currency, right? The dollar and the euro, right? And man, it's just continuation of the gatekeeper saying, listen, no, they haven't realized that they cannot continue their system. And they're treating it's like peer-to-peer transactions. It's like, you mean if a peer-to-peer transaction is essentially, Phil, can I give you this $10 bill, bro? And you're like, sure, right?
Not anymore.
No, that is weird. That's why they use that language, man.
Of course.
It's supposed to be like, wow, look at that peer-to-peer transaction. Oh my God, money laundering, terrorist finance. We can't allow people to transact by themselves. No, they need someone in the middle to make sure they're okay, even though they themselves are guilty of what they are accusing. What's that word that they're objecting? Projecting. They're projecting, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh man, as you're sitting there, reading their little acronym there, FATF, I'm just thinking they're like the International Financial Circle Jerk. You know, every these people are sitting there and they're like, you need us to regulate. We need to make sure that everything's going to be correct. Really what you're saying is you're not allowed to launder money without us. We need to be at the center of this money laundering and we need to make sure that we get our cut. So once again, right? Quoting George Carlin, there's a big club and you're not in it.
The owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club and you ain't in it.
We're also in a club and they're not in it.
They're not in it, man.
But the difference is that they can easily join our club. Our club isn't elitist like theirs. All they have to do is decide to be not pieces of shit.
And we got the corn. We got the corn.
That's right.
They don't have the corn. We have the corn.
They can be on our team. We can't be on theirs.
F13, man. F13.
That's right.
Let them, man. And these are going to be the last people to get off the sinking ship, of their system, So, and let it be. Let it be. But anyways, to end the weekend edition of the Simply Bitcoin news segment, check this out. Exactly what we have been saying, guys, right? The NFL sponsor, this is a tweet by Russell Okung. The NFL sponsors a yearly informational to support former and active players with wealth management. My guy and leader in player engagement, Uzama Young, is giving me 10 minutes talk Bitcoin today. Friday energy, let's effing go. Right? So, man, we said this, right? When Russell Okung took his salary in Bitcoin, we told you guys that there's definitely other athletes that are going to want that exposure, right? That are going to want that, especially after Russell doubled his salary, right? Since it was reported on the news that he bought Bitcoin, his Bitcoin position would be double what it was worth at that time, right? That's definitely attractive, especially to an athlete, right? That has a fixed salary. And yeah, man, it's super awesome, and now this is a confirmation of that there is interest, that he's actually trying to orange pill other professional athletes. So super freaking cool. And yeah.
I mean, look, I don't really have much to say to it. It's just so absolutely bullish and very simple, right? He just keeps touting Bitcoin. Russell Okung I think he's doing a great job in the way that he explains Bitcoin. I think he's a decent, I think he's a good Bitcoin evangelist. And I think it's awesome that he's getting an opportunity to explain this because at the end of the day, these guys, especially in football, right? Like, you don't really have that long of a career, like you get beaten up pretty bad. And some of these people, I don't think they can earn a living really well after football. And let's be honest, unless they know how to manage money themselves or are very, you know, perfect, like Tom Brady, and could have been like brain surgeons instead of football players, but they just chose to do that. You know, like these guys, like they got to find a way to possibly eventually make a living. Like I know they make millions, but think about it, they spend millions, you know? So yeah, I'm happy that he's talking to them about Bitcoin and being able to store their wealth and maybe even start thinking a little bit differently. You know, maybe these guys become a little, you know, a little more low time preference.
You're absolutely right, because Bitcoin definitely does. At least it definitely changed my behavior, right? Towards, you know, finance, right?
Yeah,
it rewards people with saving versus fiat, which rewards people to spend, right? So it's kind of inverse. So yeah, you're right, Phil. I think it's an absolute positive. But anyways, that was our news segment for today. Phil, there was a software release today. Or no, there wasn't a software release.
No software release.
There was a website by Plebs. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Websites by Plebs. All right. Going to give a shout out to Mr. Corey Clipston for telling us about this. All right, so if you're a Bitcoiner and you're looking for a job, you want to do Bitcoiny things, head over to bitcoinerjobs.co, and you can either, if you're a company looking to find Bitcoiners to work for you and with you, or you are looking for a job. So bitcoinerjobs.co. The link will be in the show notes down below.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. That was a weekend edition of Simply Bitcoin. So if anything was a little bit different, well, different is good.
Too bad.
Maybe it was the same. Anyways, it was the weekend edition. So it was a little bit special because it was the weekend edition. But anyways, that makes it special because it was the weekend edition. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you love the show, don't forget to subscribe. And we will see you on Tuesday for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin.